What's going on, guys, and welcome back to the channel. So in typical finding a video fashion, I was having a hard time finding anything particularly interesting to cover, but after looking through some suggestions from you guys in the comments, I think I landed on something. But before I explain that, I want you to consider the following names: Big Apple Coaster, Green Lantern, Mind Eraser, Viper. Anyone catching the theme here? No? Yes? No? Well, the theme is pain, guys. Pain. Pure, unsatisfying pain. And if you thought any of those coasters I just mentioned were bad, then you might as well pack your things and leave the community, because guess what? In today's video, I discovered an even worse coaster than all of those combined, and I think you'll be shocked once you see footage of it operating. Opening in 2009 at a small theme park in Mexico, this fairly large inverted locally built coaster operated up until sometime in 2013 and sent riders through multiple long straight sections of track, twists, turns, and even a few drops. However, a series of undocumented and unfortunate events occurred on the ride that seem to have been a direct result of its closure. Furthermore, it is also one of the most unknown coasters of all time relative to its size, and I'm here to uncover what happened and where it came from. So without further ado, I present the story and history of Parque de Diversiones Quiqueland's Montaña Rusa Ala Delta. Opening sometime in the early 2000s, Parque de Diversiones Quiqueland is a small theme park located in San Luis Potosi, Mexico, that offers a variety of experiences and attractions, including mini golf, ziplining, and rock climbing. With camping grounds and a hotel surrounding it as well, the park aims to draw guests in for 2 days at a time, appealing mostly to families with children. That being said, in 2008, the park set out to build a new attraction to expand its targeted audience, one that would appeal mostly to adrenaline seekers, and what they settled on was an inverted roller coaster supposedly reaching a height of around 100 feet. Though, the park had never worked with a roller coaster of that size, considering they had and still have a kiddie coaster, so the steps they would take to accomplish that in a budget-friendly manner were unclear. Regardless, months of research and development went into the how of such a build could come to be, and in early 2009, construction finally began. Except there was one major gamble and problem. The park couldn't afford to hire a professional manufacturer for the job. Ideally, they'd sought to purchase a relocated ride online, but after none were found, came to the conclusion that the best course of action would simply be to build it themselves. But that then presented another issue. No one in staff or on the executive board knew the first thing about manufacturing a roller coaster, and this is probably the ultimate reason as to why it turned out the way it did. Still, the project was cleared and work began. The first step was to choose a layout given the land they had. To put it simply, the ride would in theory climb a 100-foot cable lift hill before a first drop banking right and into another cable lift. A mile drop would follow this second lift, and riders would consequently meander their way back into the station via a few up and downs. After that was established, step 2 was acquiring the metal for the coaster, and the park turned to none other than a company known as Metal Manufacturing Industries. They were responsible for producing the track itself and the process of assembly to go along with it. Again though, neither the park nor that company had done a roller coaster before, so what Diversiones Quiqueland received from them was more or less disappointing. However, given they had the track on site at that point, step 3 was next and final, which involved the actual assembly of the coaster. Now this was the hardest part of the whole process. Throughout the entire assembly, track segments weren't matching up, and workers were forced to cut and weld together sections of track that weren't necessarily meant to go together. This created a super janky layout that wasn't entirely anticipated. Once that was done though, nothing more could be done to fix it, and the park spent an added month developing an apparent single car, a 2-seater glider-like train. A few test runs were then initiated, and boom, the attraction was finally open to the public. Initial reception wasn't in fact that great though, and the park was forced to close it just a few short unspecified months after that. A few more modifications were then made to it, but overall, it just wasn't drawing in enough attention they'd hoped for, and for the next 3 to 4 years, it would operate on and off with no apparent schedule. It even got so bad at one point that the park even installed DIY seat pads and helmets for oncoming riders. Not to mention, since opening, you were required to cross your legs after initial riders had sustained injuries to them. Eventually though, the risk to reward ratio outweighed itself, and thanks to photos released in 2013 by Lutz Kerding, it appeared to be closed permanently. More photos released by Lisa Shannon in 2015 furthermore confirmed this, and as of now, the coaster sits standing but not operating. So while I can't say it looked any good, and quite frankly this is probably one of the few creds I think I might be too scared to attempt, it certainly has an interesting history, and it's pretty intriguing just in its own regard. Is there another weird coaster you want to see covered though? Let us know down below. As always, it's been a major pleasure creating new content for all of you, and I'd like to invite you to like and subscribe if you enjoyed today's content or any other content we've put out. It would mean a lot, so anything you guys can do would be much appreciated. Stay tuned for another video coming in a couple days, and don't forget to check us out on Instagram as well for those daily posts. Until then, hope you guys have a good rest of your days, and we'll see you all there. See ya!